What you just described really does sound like masculine energy is like a photon, just light, just vibration, essentially non-material. And feminine energy feels more like an electron or like a particle, already a part of matter, even if it's informational.
And at the same time, when we direct our attention,
right,
the electron becomes matter. When we pull our attention away, the electron becomes a wave.
A wave, yes.
And why a wave? Let's drop all the false values now. Since we've gathered here and we said that Nicole and I would be sharing our experience and we're translating it into physics, you get it, right? When we talk about acceptance and say it's kindness, and when you have acceptance, you don't take offense, we're integrating massive volumes of information and translating them into words that can reach your neural connections. That's why when we talk about matter, we have to agree that atomic structure is universal. There's an electron, a proton, and a neutron.
And a lot more.
That's what we're talking about now.
At the basic level.
There are also quarks, but that's a whole separate topic. Still, they're there. And no matter what kind of matter we're talking about, we can take the periodic table. We're going there just to debunk some myths. And we see that when you remove an electron from an atom or a proton from the nucleus, you get a completely different substance. And here's the key point. We have a distorted view of reality. We think the world is made of time, space, and matter, but it's actually made of focus of attention and perception.
What is the focus of attention in this dual world?
It's a set of specific informational structures that, when combined, perceive reality based on the interaction we've created. This many protons, this many neutrons, this many electrons. That makes copper, that makes gold, that makes silver, and that makes lead. And with this kind of perception, we perceive the world according to our own dimensionality and sequence. And since we each have a certain frequency, our speed of perception matches those vibrations. I don't know if we'll share all the information, but it will be interesting. For example, when our focus of attention is concentrated within these laws, we live in a specific paradigm of time, space, matter, and the rules that operate here. But that's all relative to the focus of attention. So it turns out that at the moment we shift from this reality to another one, let's say we accept the idea that there are entities who don't live in our physical world, but in another dimension. And if we trust that, and it's an undeniable fact backed by quantum physics, where there are probable realities, different dimensions, other focuses of attention, and alternative ways of perceiving the world, then, for example, we can look at the writings of Jane Roberts, who wrote the Seth material.
The Eternal Validity of the Soul.
Yes, there are a few books. I was curious how he perceived things, and when he described his perception to her, and he conveyed a lot of very precise information, which wasn't easy for him to do, he said he would tune in specifically to the version of Jane who was in this particular probable reality. He would figure out who was wearing what sweater, because in other probable realities, the painting would hang somewhere else. The sweaters were different, people were dressed differently, so he had to find anchor points to enter this exact version of reality. I watched how he managed to do it through a defocused attention. If we concentrate into a point, he spreads outward, he simultaneously sees a multitude of probable realities, and he sees the past, present, and future all at once. And they're all dynamic. Meaning, we live in the past exactly as we do in the past. We live in the present exactly as we do in the present. We live in the future exactly as we do in the future, and they're all interconnected. But our perceptions, our values, our laws, and our worldview don't let us grasp multiple dimensionality. Why? Because our focus of attention is locked into a single point. But for someone like Seth, that's normal. His attention is defocused. So on the one hand, he perceives things on a much more global scale. He sees trillions of our probable realities, trillions of our past and future events, but his influence is very limited because he can only offer suggestions, because to actually interact with us, there has to be at least 12% novelty, and that means 12% similarity. But here's the important part. To take in that 12%, we need to eliminate 12% from the existing 88% of our current matter. Let go of it in the reality it's in, birth it into a new state, and then adapt to a different reality. And really, if we put it simply, the past, present, and future differ only in their frequency of vibration.
So basically, we need to disidentify the 12% that has already run its course from the 12% of the past, so there's space for 12% of probable realities from the future?
You know how to do that? It's actually simple. Men need to enjoy their actions and everything they're involved in growth and creation. That's how they let the old die, so something new can come in. And women need to fully enjoy wherever they are and whatever they're doing. We'll talk more about pleasure and delight separately. But just to clarify, as soon as we voice something out loud, it stops working for us. We make space for the new. That's why when people say, this method works, sure, it works for them because it's still new to them. But for you, it's already expired. And that's why here with Nicole, we've actually decided, and maybe we'll even manage, not to give examples. Because there's one guy I really liked, Jacques Fresco. He passed away not too long ago.
Fresco.
Yeah, Fresco. So I asked, why weren't genius ideas ever realized? The answer, he canceled them out by giving examples of how they used to work, and that made them stop working. We can't keep giving examples from the past, because the moment we do, we erase a possible future and block our access to a new state, and it all happens just because we didn't leave something unsaid. So our approach is this. We talk about what needs to be done, but we don't try to prove it to people by saying, look, John, Mike, Sarah, and Amy did it this way, and it worked. Because when we do that, we devalue it. We overlay something old onto the new and just end up running in circles. So, to create a new iPhone 17, if we keep referencing the iPhone 16 too much, the 16 will bleed heavily into the 17, and we won't even be able to tell the difference.
And the 13 and 12 too.
And here's the key point. Guys, we didn't gather here today by accident. And when Nicole said we'd be voicing something new, remember at the very beginning of the meeting, we said this had been in the works for a while. Back in December, we already said, God willing, in May we would...
In September.
Even as early as September.
At the planning session.
Yes, at the planning session we said that by May we'd be able to speak it out loud because the energy would be ready. And right now we're sharing just a small portion. The part you're able to perceive. We're talking about man and woman, but we're digging deep into the energetic layer. And I'm only beginning to tell you that matter itself is extremely primitive. So much so that all the beings of the world could fit on the tip of a needle. All the beings of the world, all the civilizations. And do you know why, guys? Dig deeper. When we look at the nucleus and the electrons, well, we won't go into distance and all that now. When we focus our attention, we see the electron as a particle. When we remove that attention, it behaves like a wave, kind of like a wave. Here's the answer. That same electron exists simultaneously in multiple probable realities, vibrating at a certain frequency. It's like film frames, 24 frames per second, sometimes more. But we perceive it as linear. So when this electron blinks, it simultaneously feels and forms our probable reality up to trillions or even more billions of possible variations. And why do we have a limited perception of the world? Because in addition to all that, the electron exists simultaneously in every single piece of matter that exists. And remember how quantum physicists kept saying, why is it that when an electron changes its spin light years away, one here changes too, or one changes here, and the one there changes too? And it happens simultaneously. Do you know why? What I'm saying now is something we still need to arrive at, digest, and integrate into our own value system. Let me put it in a metaphor, but one that lines up very precisely with what's actually happening. On the one hand, we have an electron field around the atom, and that field is completely packed with electrons, densely packed. But they don't touch each other because they're all the same electron, the exact same one, existing everywhere at once. Now here's the crucial part. We're all made of the same one atom that vibrates within each of us, in every object, in every universe, in every cosmic system, and in every measurable unit you could possibly imagine. But because of our limited perception of the world, because of all the dogmas, doctrines, and boxes we've been stuffed into, we end up with a distorted view of reality. And that's why things don't happen the way they could. In theory, any intention or desire we have should come to life in the best way possible out of all possible options. And the only reason it doesn't is because we have a false description of the world, one that blocks that potential from happening. And when those who share wisdom tell us everything is possible for you, they mean it. But your fence of beliefs blocks the flow of energy and stops it from happening. As Jesus said, "Say to this mountain, move and cast yourself into the sea, and it shall be so, if you do not doubt." And what causes doubt? Experience, past experience. I've never seen a mountain move and dive into the sea. Why? Because right from the start, we're taught limitations. This is possible. That isn't. This will happen. That won't.
Do limitations shape our focus of attention?
Look,
Because it seems like the focus of attention into the specific reality.
now we've smoothly transitioned, like you said, strong woman, strong man, and all that. Our purpose is essentially a specific focus of attention that generates reality in the best possible way in alignment with the original informational blueprint. There are many complex processes involved, but I'm simplifying them as much as I can so at least the linear picture becomes clear. And we're still talking about man and woman here, but digging deep into the core so we can move forward and understand how it all works at the quantum level that actually shapes the Newtonian world.
I think the activation of wholeness is happening right now.
Because we're not just close, we're all made of this same one atom. Everything in this world and in other dimensions too. And all we need to do is bring in alternative ways of perception to increase the depth of our experience and the vibrational concentrate we live by. We live through novelty, shifting our focus of attention. And through that, we enhance our frequency characteristics, because life is simply the acceleration of the frequency we're in. That's why the past doesn't truly exist, but when we pull it in, we bring along false laws that no longer work. But today, we only allow ourselves to operate within the laws we accept, the ones we agree with. And from that acceptance and agreement, love is born. And that's when insights come, revelations arrive, and inspiration flows. When we talk with Nicole, she's Miss Obvious, and I'm Mr. Vision. And honestly, we often look ridiculously dumb because all we're missing for full awareness is just energy. It's like that game show Wheel of Fortune war. You've guessed all the letters, but still can't read the word. And when you finally do, you realize, damn, I've been staring at these letters for 10 years. You feel dumb, but it's really just a lack of energy. And that lack comes from how clouded our perception is by religious, political, scientific, or medical beliefs. And when I speak about great people, saints and miracle workers, they didn't know orthodox science, yet they managed to heal others, simply through a certain internal state, a feminine state. Remember this, the feminine state influences everything.